A couple questions I would like to ask the physical therapist, which I'll be interviewing soon, so dropping the seeds for that. First of all, you have to check the start dates. I have March 10th. I'm not sure the year. Hold on. I think it's a 22. I just looked at it. Let me look back. Hold on. 22. Yes. That's the one. Is that the start date? So, but the other dates I do not have. I just found the one document. This might be related to the fact that I had highlighted some of the more important parts that are connected to this doctor's appointment that I saw at Advocate, Illinois, Aurora, Illinois, because of the component of referral to the Trauma Recovery Center, which was actually really nice. So I would recommend that one for sure. So as I'm going through my own advocacy forms, I'm thinking this does not organize it. I have to really find a way that truly does organize. And I found some articles on heroin addiction and opiates, personal stories from 2015. So maybe read it and do a follow-up. Take some notes on it. Things I like and things I like, all right? Oh yeah, the questions. How common are pelvic floor issues, and does it obviously relate to age, but anything people can do to keep their pelvic floor healthy, function, basics. When you first work someone because of the intimacy of the area, how do you make assessments on somebody to know if So at this point, given the symptoms I had with the referral from a great physician, Dr. Maroc, with Michigan Avenue Primary Care, all I can say is that she should have said, I don't have the expertise for traumatic brain injury and urology. I'm an expert in vascular neurology and stroke and headache. So she probably should have said, yeah, I'm going to mess this one up. And I'm not really proactive about recognizing if I have a patient with PTSD. Remember, I came with a stack of documents stating this is the second round of assault. So I did this already, recovery, but without the PTSD diagnosis. So I'm going to actually say I'm very aware that this makes it different. This makes it different. I have to be way on top of this because I'm aware that I can be told anything about this condition, but also I'm already told there's not much out there, which makes me think, really? How can there not be much out there? There's so many people with it. Why aren't you taking their testimonials and utilizing their strategies to formulate your best practices? Because what I definitely saw was you taking. That's why I was literally halala. Whoa. That's the explanation for the school. Got it. Education is obviously a business, and now I understand if it's a dirty business. They are capable of undergoing procedures, and how do you make decisions of scaffolding, meaning going more, going less, if a patient is vocal, but also when a patient is not vocal. Maybe being vocal is bad. What are your personal experiences with that? When were you... Hi, so where did you attend, where did you earn your degree, and how long have you worked? Do you find when were, okay, I'm going to continue on this. Thank you. I write using my voice. So as I write, I'm taking notes, but I'm also getting rid of a lot of stuff here as well. So let's get this done for Mr. Baker. Let's go. Some of these are medical records, but I just tore up some paper. I don't want to show everything, but yes, I'm touching the paper and there's like nothing there. Here is the fundraiser. So when someone is explaining something like, I tried to get back in touch with them. No, I told them I can answer the question of what's wrong with him because you kept talking aloud and gossiping, and I had to leave the room because I'm thinking, this is terrible. And then I meet this delightful woman and realize that's the person you were putting down over months. And I meet her and she's amazing. She's my hero, and I can't even begin to describe how I made it through this wedding of the century. I would not have survived without her. Seriously, because I thought, if she can do this, I can do this. But also, it taught me a lot about who to elevate in society. Thank you, the bus driver and the photographer, for helping me on and off the bus. I really appreciate it. Truly. OMG. Talk about uncomfortable. Anyway, no. I love when they just rewrite this whole narrative and think it's real, but boom, oh, that's what they do. That's what they think it is. Got it. Thank you.
There's a lot going on when you wrap a gift. There's the cutting. There's the tissue paper. Scissors are necessary, and why Miss V, I can't have you in my head anymore. Sorry, girl. And the ribbon. All of it goes in together, and I think this is the start of mindlessness. We'll describe both. 289. Okay, go ahead.
And then 6229.
6229. You will
Yes.
transfer me as well, and then that's the end of the call, right?
Sorry, what was that?
Okay, so you're gonna also transfer me, but this is the number unless this is just in case I lose the call. That's perfect. And then all right. Thanks. Oh.
All right.
And then if you can transfer me, then we're good. Thank you so much. I think that was it.
Please be aware of your statements. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye now. Thanks again. If it does lose the call, I have the number.
Okay, bye.
And I'll call them next. Thank you. Bye. Wow, what a great experience. Triggers. Why? Because we can predict that it's not going to go away because it's too strong, the associations. So I'm just going to start with whatever pops up tomorrow, and whatever I write and the phone calls I make. They will be to guaranteed rate Lori Hospital in Chicago. Let's just do Meghan. I'm sick of this. Meghan Markle. Thank you. Get it? M-M-M-M. Church. Oh my God, the people around me were like, whoa, and I was sing really loud. I don't, but I had to change myself a little bit, make my voice heard, and I found the safest place to do it. So something new in a familiar place, or something unfamiliar, or something familiar in a new place. Thank you. No explanation needed. The most amazing experience on the body ever is something live.
GoFundMe, a buck for a truck, and you can see the first writing there. Oh yeah, this is the first writing. Hello, while trying to get back on my feet after 18 years out of society, I had a medical issue and was fortunate that someone called 911 in this neighborhood. I prefer to stay on this corner since I'm near my medical team, including Vision and Hearing, Alala, and Aldi. My favorite grocery store. It was just Vision. My typo. I'm getting used to my cell phone that I never pick up in time and an email address that doesn't quite make sense, but I'm learning it. I've used the internet to take practice exams for CDL, commercial driver's license, and have begun to share my story more widely using social media. Work in progress. My goal is to raise $6,000 to purchase a used tractor. Being on the street, I sometimes ask if I need help get housing, but I prefer to get back into the workforce and earn my way. He wanted to live in the truck. There's nothing like the open road, and if you agree, can you spare a buck for a truck? And here's me trying to write because any space, and now it's like, nope, I don't have to do that anymore. So let's start putting together the things that we need to, worksheets that absolutely put this methodology in the hands of the person collecting data. Thank you. So when you are able to take audio samples, which might be you reading or you public speaking or privately speaking, or I don't know, whatever it is your goal is, then immediately listen to it. So I think I sounded pretty good. I talked really fast when I needed to, and I was aware of the time. That was why I didn't That's why I didn't pause much at the punctuation. But I can quickly self-assess, and we call that anyone know? Anyone want to raise their hand? It starts with the letter R, ends with shun, 3 syllables, has a religious connotation, and were the things that reminded me because I could not look up. So what's on the ground often? Broken glass. So a reflection. You want to be able to do a reflection super fast. This is origin of my student teacher who was awesome, who wanted, oh my God, to do this so well. The desire was so high, yet the knowledge was just not there, the natural sort of flow. Again, you want to chit chat with these kids, but do that in your social time. This is a classroom. The environment, the standard, the objective, the demands on the body are different. When you walk into a classroom that takes education seriously, you should literally feel differently. All right, anyway, I want to say thank you to that person. Again, I build lifelong relationships, so if you ever need help with anything, and if you're still in education, definitely reach out, but only you. I'm sorry. Only you. Thank you. That means no friends and no family, and that's no friends, no family, and that's the Chicago Parks District. That's families only. It sounds lovely, but you know what? It's just all about celebrating you. God, how many times?
All right.
Like, woo, I'm in shock.
I'm gonna throw this away. I found this. It was part of a larger ball, but the stitching was destroyed. So I'm gonna throw it away now, finally. Okay, that's Will.
George F. Will.
Throw him out, you bum. So kick him out.
I think I was exposed to
Again,
everything
best
correctly
practices,
growing
the
up.
best thing in the world.
All right.
And
Never give
still,
up. Let's
people
begin.
struggle.
I am now going to take something I created in the year. What is this? What's the year say? November 18, 2022. So about a year ago. So great. And then I'm going to just, like I said, I realize I can't just delete some of this Northwestern stuff because sometimes you want to have it in its entirety, not scrolling. In case you need to take a screenshot and read it, it's easier to do that than to let the scroll, because that's going to make you dizzy if you have vestibular. So we'll take a screenshot. I double, triple check. Has my name on it. Damn it. So that one is fine as long as I don't, well, thank God I didn't upload it to something visual yet. Okay, so that one I need to redo. I'm always going to make mistakes. So that's that tappy tap 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 in the back. And that's the sound I told her. It's the poppity pop pop tappy tap tap, right? She's like, yeah, I get it. That's how we said hello and goodbye. And I appreciate that. That worked for the moment, but only if the meaning was the same. You change the meaning, I guess. Or didn't understand it completely, which happens all the time. Seriously. Advocacy is the best thing ever. But it's also something that, unless you're willing to do it for the rest of your life, it really doesn't matter. Hey. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? No, it's not worth it. I don't need to put them in it. So we're removing the people, the pictures, and we're just going to edit them out because that is not fair. They're just working here. They have no idea. They're probably told what to do, and it's uncomfortable wearing the mask all day. It's that simple. I'm sorry, but no. But the issue was, and then there's other things. It's not just that. There's a bunch of stuff going on here. So why are we paying for this? And other people are saying the same thing, and that's what I was hearing, but maybe not able to say it then because I'm freaking out. Why? You guys are scary. I said it in the last meeting. This is terrifying. Someone validated that it must be scary to use my voice here, but she's not in the meetings anymore to say, yeah, I did say that to her. But I was also waiting for an apology because didn't you just hear them like yell at me? And I said, please stop. And then I heard that giant intake of breath. Telling me, wait a minute, this isn't like coming out of you because you're a maniac right now. This is you pretending to scream your head off because you know my body will think it's real, but your communication has always been bad here, and that's preferred. So that's what the school and the hospital and all these spaces that have done bad stuff do. When I say bad stuff, I'm like, yeah, it's bad. Okay. Otherwise, I say, hey, it's not that big of a deal, but it's not. It's a big deal. So anyway, thanks for the words, everyone. We're going to remove them. But they know they weren't wearing a mask because we talk about it. It was awkward. I would trigger from the vacuum when they finally started vacuuming the floor. It didn't happen for a very long time. So anyway. All right. That's it. Thank you.
Hi, this is Smarty MC with SmarterThanTrauma, and I'm ahead of it finally. Both suicide, because the last season 4 will be how I got to this part, being able to share it, which is step 2, a reflection. When you're ahead of it and your body no longer triggers from the sensory, whether that be words, memories that come in full body, full on, audio, visual, tactile, smell, etc. And why I'm really grateful for getting hit in the head a couple times because I lost the sense of smell. Because if I had to smell something during trauma, the one thing that only one person knew, I don't think I would have survived. So I think everything was supposed to happen as it was meant to. And I'm going to be smiling a lot as I work on that asymmetrical smile because I do talk a little bit out of the left side of my face because I have nerve damage. And the one indicator of and the one physical reminder of everything that happened since I was not able to pick my head up off my chest for a long time. And that's why the doctors told me, make sure you don't do anything to make your muscles atrophy. You're going to have to let your muscles do this on their own. This video is to remind you that if I do add you as a friend to this site, I appreciate whether or not you found me in the other 22 sites that I talk about advocacy in. And I will be that advocate. A single word can remind you of something, and this song is all about tit for tat, and that's the share your comments.
publicly.
It's Brooklyn,
Share your
and
questions
then another
publicly, and I will be that advocate.
A single word can remind you of something, and this song is all about tit for tat.
And that's that memory. One-on-one for you. Because I have to create boundaries at this point. And those that I did talk about advocacy with, make your voices known, because now the project is on live. I'm going to share everything I learned and everything that I am still curious about. All right? Right?
I've been told repeatedly that because I got Ivy at a shelter, they got their pets at shelters too. So every time I walk by Paws, seriously, yeah, I'm not gonna have this memory again. So we're putting this away with the story of the leopard print bag. Don't forget. It was just a snapshot of the moment, and then hoping, cross fingers, with my faith intact, that one day I could explain it. So there's a couple things going on here. The first bit, your muscles might never ever regate. That I took very seriously. A physical therapist who told me about centralization and how that works. I took that very seriously because every time my body shifted, I thought, ooh, it's centralizing. Yay, a little bit of hope. No, it wasn't. But maybe it is finally, only because the upper body is loosened and the isolated pain is in my left side, which I just realized was because I was stabbed. I am very grateful to the 14th out of 18th of my clients doing homeless advocacy. In this case, it was medical advocacy. Daily
place to
medical.
be. So obviously this is going to be the library, obviously. Here we go with the first push pin and how to erase this trauma.
Caught it.
The stabbing. And I'll talk
Taking medical measurements for the doctors who requested it. They don't seem to remember that in January, this person had a follow-up appointment to see if the medicine was working, and instead of calling me, they didn't do anything. And this person who was told that he would have to need surgery was basically ignored. So the question to Northwestern Memorial Hospital is, if you're asking patients to do their blood pressure and weigh themselves and eat healthy, you didn't hear them when they said they live in the park. The way that they treat them, while isn't impolite, it's completely out of touch. I had to model to them repeatedly that, hey, our client can't hear well, so why don't you double check that he understands what what you're saying to him. And how do you do that? You can double check what you're saying to him by asking him, do you understand everything I'm saying? These are very small things, but they do add up. So Northwestern Memorial Hospital and Transitional Services, I'd like to invite you to the podcast to talk about the experience, because as soon as I said I'd like to give you feedback, which is interesting in so many of these companies as they give me surveys, the feedback is not wanted because they're done with you. And if that's stigma and suicide, then I'd like to return it back to you now. And the isolated pain is in my left side, which I just realized was because I was stabbed. Remember, I wanted the park over here to be much nicer than it is now?
Oh, yeah.
So in 2018, it is nicer, you're right. But in 2018, I called the Chicago Parks District because the sidewalks were so uneven and kind of like insulting. And because I was home more, I wasn't leaving at, 6:30, 6:45 to get to work by 7:20, 7:35. Depending if I got a coffee. Anyway, remember the Chicago school day was the shortest in the country. It was only five hours or something. So you could leave school at 1:45. It was so early. So I wouldn't see my neighbors much, is the point. Now that I'm injured and not working, I actually noticed that there's a lot of kids with disability. There's a couple people in wheelchairs, elderly, of course. I'm just noticing more of the people. And before I would just say hello or really quickly. Now I can actually sit and talk to them. I've been here since 2009. So I've been here since the beginning. I'm one of the first owners, actually. The cool thing is not the person to call up people. I'm not the person to demand stuff or ask for things or even make a big peep. I don't even like to raise my hand. I had to force myself. So you would never have recognized the way I can make phone calls today. So I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm so nervous to do this, but let me just call Chicago Parks District, thinking, oh my God, these guys are so important and they work for the city. I don't want to bother them. Now it's like, oh my God, you guys are all lazy. All patting yourself on the back for a job not done. I called them. That's when I found out the park was being renovated. In my left side, which I just realized was because I was stabbed. I am very grateful to 2 years out. So I explained the story of the kids in my neighborhood that had been abused and the violation of their rights. When I say abused, there was a molestation charge that the principal swept under the rug. And I have all the paperwork for that, all of it.
all of the paperwork. And that's when I think the teacher union decided we don't want to take this case, because I brought it up. They said to me, well, why were you there? Why did you continue working at that school if it was so dangerous? And I said, well, there was a molestation charge. So if I wasn't there, that child okay, that was my thought, because that is, I think, exactly what happened, and I think I'm right about that. Hold on, I'm trying to do two things at once. Flipping this pancake is actually very hard to do. Okay, now I'm good. Multitasking. So the next thing is, he says, wow, we're doing a park renovation, the field house and the playground. I said, wow, I'm from Detroit, and there's a park there called Dad Butler, where I think in 2007, but they always are constantly adding to it. They made the first park in Michigan where children with disabilities, disabled kids and adults can play with their peers. So they make the ramps wider, flatter. Yeah. So wheelchair accessible. They make the ground flat, so wheelchair accessible. If there's children that are blind or hard of hearing, that they're all incorporated. So there's sound things that are sound, but you're in the middle of the park. So they think about the kids with disability to be in the center of the playground, right? Not just on the edges, not just like, over there is the playground for you over there. And the biggest thing was the bucket seat, because I have a student and a friend that is severely, profoundly disabled. So that was the first indicator. I am very grateful to call this person, because I wasn't going to call anyone. So the first person to put the seat in was regarding a child with severe and profound needs. So he needs a bucket seat. Those are those chairs. You see them in the park. It's blue. That way you're strapped in and you can be flimsy. You don't have to fall. You won't fall off. And all the kids love it too. So you don't have to be special needs to enjoy the swing. So that was the thing that made me, okay, just call it. So I remember being so grateful to that parent to letting me know that there was an issue. And I thought, I can advocate. So I even dropped that name. I'm like, I don't know if you know this, but I know you from the bucket seat.
Do you create that name?
What name? Advocate. No, it's a real word. It's French. It's from lawyer. Avocat is lawyer, but also means spokesperson. So the cool thing is see, now I'm moving around because this is how I work. So, yeah, because my body's actually feeling good. So you'll see me kind of pace and move and groove. Okay. So, because my thinking is getting clearer, because I really want to tell you this, even though I don't want to say it because it's so horrendous. So basically, we had this conversation at the MCA. That card I gave you, the guest pass, I was on the phone with him because I did not expect him to want to talk to me.
Oh, yeah.
I did not expect him to talk to me. Nope, not that. That MCA guest pass. Nope, that's a holder for it. Or for anything. That's okay. I remember it had my name on it. That's okay. I remember it had my name on it. So he wanted to come to the exhibit and hang out. And I was like, well, I'm actually with people, so I don't think that's a good idea. But I'm really glad you talked to me. And I don't even know if he was genuine, but he kept saying, well, I'm downtown. I can come over to the museum right now. I'm like, no. This wasn't an invite to hang out. But that really was funny to me, because I will never forget that. And that's why whenever I go to the museum, I think of Larry Labia. Or whenever I see Takashi Murakami, I think of Larry Labia, because that was the artist who was on, anyway. So then I can go back in time and remember the exact date. And literally, I'm sure I could match up the phone call if somebody said, did you really talk to him? Yeah, because everything is evidence now, right? Everything's digital copy. You can find stuff. So the cool thing is when he did this, he opened up a can of bullshit, because from that moment on, he's giving me everything you say to the person that wants it to be disability-able playground. So I kept following up with him, He ends up sending me this thing called New Toys. I called the company, so I don't have it with me, but it's basically playground equipment. And he says, knock yourself out. Hey, does this mean we can choose the equipment? Because remember, I'm on the board of directors now in 2020, and they know the park is now about to get renovated, and it's been fenced up, as you know. Nobody's working on it. We don't know what happened. Now the people here are wondering what's going on, and they don't like the homeless people in the park. They don't like people peeing on the fence, etc. I'm like, I agree.
Well, I got outside, so it worked. I told you. I will use the bestest things, and I was in Kew Garden, so if you don't want to understand it, fine. I showed you it. I discovered it. Told you about the insertion of the, yep, lightning fast. Bye.
But the thing is, they BS'd me from the beginning. They had no intention of making the park disability friendly. In fact, if you notice, there's wood chips on the ground. That's not handicap friendly. If you look at other playgrounds, there's a surface that's very bouncy and flat.
Oh, it's flat.
So again, the idea for wheelchair accessible. The reason why we talked about this is, I said, now that this is in my mind, that literally has removed the trauma of that school. He was the first person I talked to about the trauma at the school, because I wasn't supposed to say anything, right? But now I felt safe to share it. Now I share it all the time. But back then, I was not going to talk about this because it's private, and it's horrible to be in something where you don't know if you can talk about it or not. And if you can't talk about it, it does feel like very hard to make sentences. That's why I say to people, when you can't say certain things, you can't sound right because you're editing yourself. And also, I didn't know if I was allowed to say certain things because I was told not to say anything. So in addition to losing speech and then having to regain it, I lost the word then and make. I lost those words. And I thought, then and make. I could not say them. So occasionally you'll hear me get caught in then. It's really weird, but you know why? Because it rhymes with, and make rhymes with fake and rape. That's why I lost the word. So I don't know how I lost these words. Like when I say I lost them, I was speaking, but then I'd get to the word, hey, I'll make you a pancake. I say, I'm thinking, what happened? I literally lost. It just wasn't there. The interesting thing after that is they're BSing me from the beginning. I start contacting all the Chicago park districts to say, hey, what happened to the park and why isn't it being finished? So this is the point. Seward Park, PAC, the Seward Park Advisory Council. Someone from another local group around here, NNUP, Near North Unity Program, advised me to go seek out Doug Wood at Wicker Park, who has a much better park. That's where the plant sale was. You remember that park? Now that park is beautiful. They have events, they have the fountain, flowers, plants. They do have homeless population, but nobody gets bothered. I did speak to the people at the field house there, and they did say homeless can be a bit of a... He says it's not a huge deal. They deal with it, but yes, it can become a problem if someone's sick in there or hogs the stall or something. We started talking about what we could do for homeless initiatives. The whole point is my creative space is in Wicker Park. So I had already planted the seed to find a safe place. Not that I was actively finding a safe place, but the suggestion of going there for Doug Wood was enough to get me over there. So now that whole space is safe. So when I was thinking I could transfer everything and do my work there, like, this is home, that's work. Like going home, school, back and forth. Doing this for the last 3.5 months or so literally has changed my biology in this space. So now when I walk through here, and maybe it's also the fact that they painted the walls because it's different visually, I don't feel it anymore. You have to admit, I don't really have too many issues moving in and out of the building, even though I just stated how horrible it is to be here. But
do you feel horrible about it?
I feel less and less horrible. But there was a period where I could not even imagine getting out by the gym because that's where the property management office is. So location is everything. So the point is I've established a safe space in Wicker Park, right? The woman who just donated is someone I met in Wicker Park.
Really?
I'm spreading the message so it comes full circle, but also.
Yeah, she knows you wrote it.
Yeah, she knows, and I've spoken to her face to face. She understands. She really allowed me to speak openly about it, which was awesome. But the coolest thing is, I don't think I had any verbal hiccups with her. But the coolest thing is when she reached out, and now that I see her name up there, it was just like amazing because that's where I wrote, well, this all started because love thy neighbor. And technically, you're my neighbor. Technically, she was my neighbor. You know what I mean? It just sort of like comes full circle to, again, the universe says you are meant to do this. You're meant to keep going. Don't slow down. And that's the end of that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So what I want you to do with this, and unfortunately, when you are in suicidal loops and you don't know if you're supposed to be here, these are the things that I think the brain and body do connect on. Because people are going throughout life, was I ever wanted? Disturbing.
No, that's how they
Yeah, this is the level. This is your fundraiser. I'm going to just tack them up on the cork board.
On what?
Like a cork board. Okie doke. Or we'll tape it up. I want to probably cross that out. Oh, that's nothing. You tack it to things, okay? And then people can see you where you are, and then they'll start donating more. Check that out. Not bad. You know what? Take 3 of these to school and tack them. Okay?
Okay.
Just tack them up on the cork boards.
On what?
Like a cork board. We'll tape it up. Do you prefer tape? Or tape is good too, though. Schools or outside Starbucks, they have one like a community bulletin. We're going to tack it up there. Like I said, I put things on Panera's, but they always take them. So what I'm saying is maybe me. So the Bible says you have to tithe. Well, some companies do more than that. I'm always impressed if they do a little more. I'm always a little like, you're only giving 10%. I think
my
we
left
can give
side,
more.
which I just realized was because
They
I was
claim to
sick.
give more.
I am very
Companies
grateful.
You can do anything with it.
Yeah, that's a lot of money for a lot of people. But how do I donate? How do I do anything? I'm like, well, help the people that helped me. And then they're like, yeah, I don't want to do that. How do I help you? I'm like, I don't need your help because if I get your help, then you're going to expect something from me.
Yeah.
That's what you have taught me. That's what the world has taught me. So I'm going to remove myself from the equation.
Okay,
I'm going to remove myself from the equation. But anyway, the thing is, the story matters. So that's kind of the lesson here.
If I have to go to that.
Hello and welcome. Thanks for checking out Shock and Awe, created entirely out of exposure to physical, sexual, emotional, psychological violence and exposure to discrimination against kids with special needs and retaliation against individuals living with disability. I taught special education in Chicago public schools, and when my students were denied a classroom at the beginning of the 2014-2015 school year, I reached out to local, state, and federal government entities because the federal law, IDEA, or Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, stipulates that
Every child in a public school receiving public funding has to have a classroom comparable to their peers.
Able to know if I could remember.
Working with my students in the hallway, the cafeteria, the auditorium was not a classroom similar to their peers.
Because one's out of sight, out of mind. I noticed this as I was...
If interested in understanding the creative process and how it ends trauma, please reach out to me publicly. If you have any questions about chronic pain, concussion, traumatic brain injury, and PTSD, reach out to me publicly. If you love cats, please reach out to me publicly. Please know that I accept all questions and am now able to be on a computer almost daily and around technology, which was greatly affected by somebody using film and photos that I never consented to.
How to be an independent, functioning, normal, stable person.
Since everything I do is to dampen and remove what I like to call acute biological symptoms of PTSD, which is the increase of adrenaline and the fight, flight, and freeze survival instinct we all have, because we all have an endocrine system and a parasympathetic, sympathetic nervous system to help us in times of stress. That could be distress or eustress. In a nutshell, I will not work for a company that absolutely abuses a vulnerable population in a public school, but I also was able to transition successfully, restructuring live and utilizing over 20 websites to contain what I like to call their PTSD, or pictures, touches, sounds disordered. Anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me publicly, because that helps model the process of advocacy, and any support that you provide goes directly to my not-for-profit created to assist those in trauma, because the one thing I've learned through homeless advocacy, as well as my own journey and recovery, finding out how various industries definitely take advantage of others and abuse their power. If you do contribute to my not-for-profit, please know the goal is for me to go out of business, because the social and emotional problem has been solved, which I will sum up as a low standard for lying. We need to change that in society so we can hold people accountable, and also recognize that our human ingenuity and ability to think and not live completely instinctual should be the motivation for us to absolutely leave the next generation a better world than what we got. We can only do that through true gratitude and appreciation for everyone that came before us. That's our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents. If you just imagine the world they grew up in, and the hardship, the strife, the fight for civil rights, the lack of technology, the amount of time it took to send and receive communication alone should give us an unlimited amount of gratitude that will absolutely help us end trauma for everyone. Because I believe in education is meant for everyone, not just some.
This was created out of, again, advocacy and desire to help others. So, correction, I do not have a not-for-profit anymore. Unfortunately, my secretary/friend passed away. He's my first donor for the cookies, and he understood completely. He also allowed me to start putting the seeds down for margins in cooking and in-out measurements and memorizing a menu. Anyway, so no, but you can directly donate to Mr. Baker at GoFundMe. Thank you.